Hey guys, this is part 2 of my budgeting series, so make sure and check out part 1, which I think will link up right up here, for the fundamentals and the details of budgeting and the importance behind it. There are several different budgeting types, but my favorite is the zero-based budget because it really helps me make the most out of every single dollar. And yes, every single dollar does count. I know this video is a little bit longer, but it's full of practical steps and answers to many common questions that I get regarding a zero-based budget. I try to keep it as concise as possible, but feel free to pause or rewatch as needed. So today, we're gonna go through step by step on how I do my zero-based budgeting and the reasons behind it, so stick around. The main difference between a traditional budget and a zero-based budget is that a traditional budget allows for there to be extra money that just sits in your checking account and you can use as you need to. And a zero-based budget would require that you move those extra funds to savings, to pay off debt, or some other goal. The idea is you want to give every dollar a purpose. Now, some think that this form of budgeting requires extra attention and extra detail. Might be true, but I think it is completely worth knowing where all my money went and is going, instead of it disappearing little by little, and oftentimes having nothing to show for it. First off, you want to write down all your income sources and also when you receive them. How do you get paid? Monthly, every other week, or weekly? My wife and I get paid on different weeks. So when I receive her paycheck, I leave it in a savings account, which is one of my sub-accounts you'll see later. Once all the funds are in there, then I'll sit down and move all the money as necessary. Here's a side note about extra income. My wife and I both have side hustles. So typically all the side hustle money that I earn is mine to keep, and hers is hers to keep, unless it is needed for a larger goal that we are trying to accomplish. But we don't include it in our budget, it's extra, so she can go out and spend it on her shopping sprees, on getting her nails done, on decorating the house, whatever it is that she likes. Another side note, assuming you get a raise from time to time, I would encourage you to be real intentional with that money. I would encourage you to save some, keep some, spend some. Put that raise or increase to use. Because if not, without realizing it, your standard of living can so easily make that disappear. I'm sure you can agree. Based on when I get paid, how and when am I going to pay my bills? Now, there's different ways to do it. Some people pay half the bills on one paycheck and the rest on the other paycheck, for example, the 15th and the 30th. Some simply wait till the bill comes due. Some sit down to budget and pay bills once per week, or some just sit down and pay them once a month. I do it every 2 weeks once I've received all the income from both my wife and I on that pay cycle. Stick around as it'll make a lot more sense on how I pay my bills and separate my funds. From here, you'll use your budget to pay your bills, to meet your goals, and to live and enjoy life according to what you value. So this is how I do my zero-based budget. Remember, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but hopefully it helps spark up some new ideas or help you start to think differently about budgeting types. As mentioned in my previous video, I have 27 sub-accounts. I know that might sound crazy, but honestly, that helps keep things separate for me. And I use it as an electronic envelope system. Before we jump into my budgeting categories, I know that I've mentioned this several times in the past, but you'll have a much easier time if you go through your last 3 to 4 months worth of spending history on your checking account and credit cards, because you'll be able to find out how much you've been spending in each category on average, and you can adjust accordingly. If you don't, you'll be flying blind and making it harder than it needs to be. If you're wondering, how do I know which categories to create or to use? I put things into categories that I know I have upcoming or know that I will need money for. Most of life is predictable, so just plan ahead instead of wondering, how do I pay for that? Or this was unplanned, now what? By the way, if that happens, no biggie. Feel free to take from another discretionary category and supplement as needed. You can of course always go work some more overtime, start a side hustle, maybe lower or cut down another expense that you have to help supplement that, but feel free to move things around. It's not like it has to be static. These are my categories and how I separate my funds. I have my checking account with a debit card. I have my wife's checking account for her spending and personal money with a debit card. I have a grocery account with a debit card. By the way, those are the only 3 debit cards we have. We have an emergency fund, and we don't touch it unless an actual emergency comes up. And no, although going out for coffee might seem like an emergency, we leave that money alone until we actually need it, which is pretty rare. From there, I have an Autopay account for bills that are set up on Autopay. What I have done is I have gone through last year's reoccurring or expected bills, and I have averaged them out and then divided them by 12. So I can budget for it monthly or plan accordingly. Also, you might check out Level Pay to see if you qualify for it. So I have my power bill, natural gas or heating bill, city, which is water, sewer, trash, internet bill, phone bill, and a few subscriptions I have. Now here's an example. Let's say that you can't get on Level Pay with your power company. Typically, energy costs or power costs are higher in the summertime because your AC is constantly running. So what you can do is find out how much you've been paying each month for the last year or so, then divide that by 12 to figure out how much you should pay for each month. Let's say it was $600 last year. Divide that by 12 and it makes it $50 per month. So I would put in $25 per paycheck in that Autopay bill account, and then I don't have to worry about it. It might take a little planning to get here, but once you do, it makes budgeting for those bills so much easier. I hardly have to think about it anymore. I try to bundle as many things as I can in this category, and I also make sure to link up my emergency savings to that account on the off chance that my calculations are wrong or short. This has happened like once or twice in the last decade, but even if it does, there's no charge to sweep from my emergency fund. So if your bank charges you, then you might consider a new one. From there, I have my bill pay account for checks that I never write or for bill pay. So I can set the money in there and not worry about when it'll come out. Next is fun or entertainment account, fuel for the cars, bulk savings. That means stocking up on paper products or huge amounts of coffee or Cheerios. We want to make sure and plan for that because those bulk items can really add up. Vacation savings might change if we are planning a small local getaway or a big international trip. Auto insurance savings, we pay for it every 6 months, but if you pay for it monthly, then you could definitely put that into your Autopay account and it's one less thing to manage. Here's another example. If my car insurance for 2 cars is $500 every 6 months, then that's $83 per month. So honestly, I'll just round up and save $85 per month. So I just transfer about $43 per paycheck, and I round up because you never know if the policy will get more expensive next time. So when that big bill comes due of $500, it's not a big deal. It's already saved up and I just pay for it out of my auto insurance savings. I have a Christmas savings. Yes, I do plan for that. Here's the thing, it comes on the same month and the same day every single year. So don't pretend like it snuck up on you. You can go ahead and plan ahead for that. Car registration savings, whether that's once a year or every 2 years, just divide that up and save accordingly. Annual HOA dues, car maintenance, school fees and supplies, kid expenses, which are shoes or clothes, kid medical. We know we'll have to pay for braces in the near future, so we gotta start saving. House expenses, that's dish soap, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, gift fund for birthdays, yard, outdoors, that's sprinkler repair, weed and feed, and so on. Check holding account. Now this is where I put my wife's paycheck until I get paid and distribute funds from there. It's simply a placeholder, don't overthink it. Giving fund, to buy someone a coffee or to give to a ministry. An additional specific giving fund that we give to. Miscellaneous savings account for other financial goals that we have. My wife's credit card payment account. So if she buys something online or on Amazon, she'll just move that from her personal account or from our fun account, and then I will just send that out via a bill pay, and then that way we never get behind or lose track. So let me give you an example and break it down for you a little bit. Let's say I go to the gas station. I pump $40 on my credit card for the rewards. More on that later, by the way. So while I am pumping, I move that $40 over to the credit card holding account, as it won't let me pay it quite yet, as there's nothing ever due on it, right? Makes sense? That way I still get my points and never rack up debt. From there, I would pay off my credit card in a few days or in a week. Another way to do it is while I'm at the grocery store or pumping gas, I'll set myself a reminder on my phone or my watch to pay for it later that night or later that week, like this. Remind me to pay for the gas in 2 hours.
Okay, added.
Then it will simply remind me when I have more time and I'll take care of it then. Some people are anti-credit cards. Remember, they aren't bad. They don't magically get you into debt. But if you're not careful and intentional, it can get you into some major debt. So like previous, every dollar matters. Keep track of it and give it a purpose. Overspending hasn't really been an issue for me. So if you know that it'll be a problem for you, then I would be really careful. Remember, my approach isn't a one-size-fits-all. On most of these accounts, I only transfer out a few times a month, so Reg D doesn't really have an impact. Basically, the Fed limits your electronic outbound transfer to 6 times per month. Look it up for more details. I have all of these sub-accounts at one awesome credit union, so I don't have to complicate it and have it spread all over. I just have one app and I just transfer accordingly as needed. Remember, people might look at you a little bit weird if you ask for this at your bank or credit union, but who knows, maybe they're just secretly jealous that you're so organized and you're really doing something with your money. The point is, if it's not easily done or free, then I would honestly consider going to a different institution to help you with your needs. Feel free to reach out to me if you need any recommendations in your area. Lastly, you probably noticed, but I don't save money on my monthly budget. Because once I have a fully funded emergency fund, I don't necessarily need to save more cash, as it will just sit there in an account. And honestly, I would be losing money due to inflation. So I'm going to put the rest of my money to work by investing it and letting the 8th wonder of the world, compounding, do its thing. But I am already automatically saving up each paycheck with direct deductions into my 401k and HSA. Now, if you don't have a 401k available, then yes, please save money into a category and put that money to work towards buying mutual funds or stocks so you can plan for your future. Also, you might have more or less categories depending if you have more subscriptions, if you have some loan payments. These are just some ideas to help get you started. I hope that this was helpful to you and it gave you some ideas to chew on. At first, sure, it might be a little complicated, a little bit harder to get used to, but once you get it set up, it's almost like you can set it on autopilot and not have to worry about it. You simply just get paid, move the money into each one of the categories. From there, I use my credit card, move that into that holding account, and I just pay it off, like I said, a couple times a week or a couple times a month, and I earn those points, I get all my bills paid, I'm still meeting all my goals, and I still get to enjoy life like we had previously mentioned, simply because you have a plan, a spending plan. So hopefully that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Let me know. Maybe I missed something, maybe something was confusing. Let me know. There's always something that I can learn. Remember, most people have more money than they think. But without a plan, money can so easily disappear and leave you frustrated and make you feel broke. So that's why I encourage you to limit debt, to give each dollar a purpose, and to start to look at budgeting a little bit differently. I'm so excited for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. If any of this was helpful, please make sure and hit the like button and also make sure and subscribe for more content like this. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.